Alright guys, alright. Yes, we're here. We're doing a live reaction because it's Port Olisar. Port Olisar is going bye-bye. We have been talking about this for a while now. Anybody that's familiar with the channel will be fully aware that we have mentioned several times that it is leaving. Port Olisar will be blown up and probably dumped on Daymar. But we'll have to see. So obviously, guys, inside Star Citizen, behold Seraphim. Okay, okay. But apparently, it's all about the future of Port Olisar. So let's just jump straight into it because I have to get back to work.
Port Olisar was first introduced alongside the persistent universe in Star Citizen Alpha 2.0.
Right.
And it holds a special place in the hearts of many who remember those earliest days of Tessa Bannister, comms array missions, and of course the old Big Benny's challenge.
So my very first space station that I could actually ever only normally land at is Port Olisar. It holds a very special place in my heart because it's the first time I learned to fly and crash. But yeah, I've been playing since 3.1 days, where all we had was Porto. There was no Orison, there was no Grimhex. I don't know if Grimhex was around then, I don't think it was. There was no Hurston or ArcCorp or Microtech or anything like that.
But as Star Citizen's development continues to expand and evolve life in the PU, Port Olisar has fallen behind in its ability to support the game systems of today, later this year, and certainly beyond. But now there's a new kid on the playground looking to take its role and its job, if not its place in our hearts. And it's scheduled to arrive in the upcoming Alpha 320.
Oh, wow, okay. That's soon. I knew it was coming. We've been talking about that for a while. I actually said that it makes sense if it comes in 320 because of the whole C. But let's keep going. Okay, alright, so it's still got the rings. That's the old... Is that the old Porto or the new one? I think that's the new one.
Port Olisar was our first space station that we put into Star Citizen.
Cool.
It's gone through some minor changes, but for the most part, it's really stayed the same. Just a quick, easy, get in, get out space station. When it was first conceived, basically, it was really just a way for the players to spawn into the solar system. So we had to think about how many habitation halves went in there. We had to think about the stores that were needed, and then a way for players to spawn in their ships. I think that people like it just because it's get in, get out. You know,
true.
There's that kind of feel. There's no transit loops. There's nothing there that basically extends the timeline and the gameplay.
So what are we going to do? We're going to add transit loops. Sorry.
And for the most part, it has all the shops the average person needs. You know, armor shop, FPS shop. There's a ship item shop there as well. I think the initial implementation of Port Olisar, you know, did everything that we needed it to do, checked all the boxes. But obviously, as the game has evolved and changed over time, like, we needed to adjust it. We've added medical gameplay, we've added cargo, and unfortunately, Port Olisar doesn't support any of those game loops, so it became apparent that we need to start investigating a way to change it or adjust it and bring it up to speed.
Okay, so that's the new one. Gotcha.
Seraphim Station is the official name for what we've been calling Olisar 2.0 internally for quite a while now. What we initially set out to do is to...
So we've got cargo decks, we've got docking bays for javelins and idrises and stuff like that. And we've got pads and hangar bays. And it also looks like we got docking collars as well. Basically everything we need. Pretty much everything that I was told that we're getting. So, yeah. I presume also there's going to be HABs, medical, cargo decks. The only thing from what I've heard, it doesn't have is a refinery. But we'll see.
Creates this really grand space station with a really fantastic sense of scale that players could have a really good time flying in and around and also to and from. So we had a really good time playing around with different design languages and shape languages that we could then use to come together for the final product. We were also working on lots of shape studies involving the silhouette of the station to make sure it was reminiscent of other stations and also to bring our own unique spin on it.
Seraphim Station is a homage to Port Alisar in the way that it looks. We're keeping the rings, and but then it's also taking all of the existing Leo Station gameplay and bringing that over to that station.
It's much larger and much more extravagant than anything that we've done before in terms of our space station kit. But this is utilizing the kit in a way that we haven't before, and it's created much more unique identity for it than anything else, I think. I think the gameplay around it is going to be very cool, specifically just, you know, seeing it for the first time, approaching it. There's multiple hangars.
So it's interesting that they're doing this now, right? They're saying this is coming in 320, right? I'm guessing the PTU for Ivacati will be this weekend or early next week. That's my call for Ivacati, is very, very soon. Because they know that this is going to leak. So this is why they're going through and talking about it now. Is because they know it's going to leak when it goes to Ivacati. So I'm expecting Ivacati very soon. Like I said, this weekend or early next week.
There's a few rooms all over the station, providing you with, you know, beautiful views of the planet at the
Wow.
right time of day. Extremely large station, probably 4 to 5 times bigger than Olisar. So we have everything that you could possibly need inside. It has various sets of hangars and HABs in the center of the first 2 rings. And those are going to be where players are going to be landing their ships, collecting their ships, and the general gameplay that occurs over there. Then towards the back end of the ship, we have the cargo area, which is going to incorporate that gameplay as well. So this is how we sort of mixed and matched all of these together to create something a little bit more unique. We also have docking tubes and everything else that players could need to traverse along this big structure.
It has the medical clinic areas, it has cargo, everything there that's needed to support all of our careers that are being developed and growing.
The whole need for the station was that we're trying to have a focus on and introduce bounty gameplay into each station as much as we can. So each station also has a security dock integrated into it as well. That is going to be where all of the bounty gameplay is going to be happening, and you're going to be directed towards that. So it will be the replacement, so to speak, for Olisar. Olisar is not going anywhere. We know what a historical thing it is for the players.
We will pay proper homage to it later. And we were trying to find ways to basically send it off. Obviously, I think if we did a new space station and just renamed it Port Alisar, the old Port Alisar that they loved then just goes away completely. But basically,
To be honest, look, between you and me, so we heard the rumor that they were going to do a dynamic event, and that the dynamic event was going to be Porto was attacked and you had to rebuild it, and that would be the new station. I like that idea. That said, if Seraphim Station is the new Porto, I don't have a problem with them renaming Seraphim Station to Porto. Like, yeah, I think that should... If it's just going to be a case of, like... I suppose I get it. I get it, but...
for right now, we need to remove it, and then we'll be putting in Seraphim Station in its place. And then in the future, we'll talk about what we're going to do with Port Alisar. 'Cause, 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 'c So the way that we set up our LEO stations, all of them are future-proofed and allow us to add new modules to them via our internal transit loop and the way that we set up the object containers within the game and load. And this is also becoming future-proof for when we add new things to the station. Port Alisar, it was so small, there was no place to add or grow, and there was no transit loops so that we can fill and block off or open new loops to get to new areas. And with Seraphim, this allows us to continue that same thought process and to get everything that we need to give to the player in that area, either things that Ryzen is missing or things that Grimp Hex might be missing. This allows us to basically make sure that the player has a local area and a local space station to acquire anything that they might need. So as new careers come online, whether that be bounty hunter or exploration or other things, this opens new ways for us to actually go in and add new decks, new content. So Seraphim actually fixes all of that.
I like it. Pretty much everything I heard
is coming, and with the cargo decks and the gameplay that we needed to load the whole sea, we felt that this was the right time to introduce it to the game.
Guys, she's a monster.
I don't think you can say it's better station than Port Olisar. I think like Port Olisar has become a monument to the players, and it's got its own value. That I think we tried to honor that as much as possible, and I think we tried to create our own take on that as much as possible. So I like to think that we ended up saying that we were all very happy with. I wouldn't say it is better than Olisar, no.
For marketing purposes, it's better.
For marketing purposes, it's absolutely 3 times better than Olisar, statistically.
So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that Port Olisar's days are numbered when that new hotness Seraphim Station comes online in the
Right, so at the end of the day, this is basically everything that I'd heard 2 years ago. That they were going to replace it, and that it was going to be twice the size or 3 times the size of Porto. I heard that it's the same size as Hurston Dynamics, like Hurston Lawville. And judging how big that thing looks, it looks exactly like I heard. Guys, as for the name, look, I get the fact that they want to do like some send-off for Porto. I presume the reason why we don't have the Dynamic event to do that is because it's not ready. But I suppose that's why they haven't done it like that. But at the end of the day, yeah, I get why, but what are they going to do? Remove Porto, put in Seraphim, and then what? Bring Porto back and then do a Dynamic event? They're not going to do that. So maybe they'll just like put it in like a system somewhere, or they'll make it so that it crashed onto a planet or something. I'm not quite sure. They said they want to do something to make it so that people can go and visit it. So I presume it's going to crash into a planet or something like that. Who knows? I always heard it was going to be a Dynamic event, but like I said, I don't think the Dynamic event is finished, which is why it's not like that. But guys, there's a bit more to this. So let's keep going.
Gameplay systems that'll continue to evolve in subsequent patches later this year.
There's another 4 minutes.
We also want to give a big shout out to some massive Star Citizens that have happened over the last 2 weeks, including those in Montreal. Some absolute way to celebrate a birth in-person developers. If you think you could work in there, and the what 3 hours worth of weekly content. If you've been around for a while, you know what Q3 heading into CitizenCon is like. For Inside Star Strike, from having to fake appendicitis every time they see me coming and plot out the next quarter's worth of week 3 heading into CitizenCon is like. For Inside Star Citizen, who doesn't want us to know? That's I'm a reason. You know, station of the Port Olisar, first station of the Stanton system. Gone missing in Alpha 320 and replaced without rhyme or reason. Where did it go? What happened to it? Who doesn't want us to know? That's where our team of brilliant researchers and recreationists on the ISC gameplay capture team come in. With a theory not based in science, fact, or anything Todd Pappy would have you believe. But instead what feels right. To them, in the distorted, reason-askew minds of Will, Dave, and Alex.
Fucking called it! I heard Daimar, but Orison's close enough, I suppose.
Thanks for stopping by.
Now, we make no claims to know what really happened, and we certainly didn't ask anyone that could have told us. Instead, we offer one potential reality for you alone to judge. For unresolved miseries, I'm the person talking to you now. Bye.
I fucking called. I heard that. I heard that 2 years ago that it was going to crash into a planet. And I don't know if they watched my videos and that's why they did that or not. But it was a theory going around. It was going to crash. All right, guys. As for this, look, I get why they're just using a different name. But to be honest, it's always going to be, even the new one, it's going to be Port Alizar for me. It's always going to be the case. I really don't have a problem with them renaming the new station and calling it Porto. If they want to get rid of this Seraphim and call it Porto, fine. But I also get why they want to use a different name because it's obviously a different station and stuff. But guys, as for Porto, look, let's face it, there were some major design flaws with it. For example, the fact that there were 4 different pads which were not connectable and all that sort of stuff, from what I heard, was a major issue. The fact that you couldn't actually add to it, I suppose you could have, but you would have had to do a massive redesign of it anyway. But like I said, the biggest problem I heard was the fact that there was 4 different places that were basically carbon copies of each other that would actually were not connectable. I've got the hiccups now. Were not connectable, and that's what the problem generally was. The biggest problem. So it looks like there might be a transit loop. I'm guessing there's probably going to be a transit loop that joins the cargo deck from the landing pads, then to the decks, the javelin and the hangar decks and stuff on the far end. It's probably going to be an elevator or a train. But yeah, I imagine that's what that's going to be. But guys, I like it. Yeah, looks good. Look, it's time PO got an update. So I'm not sad the old one is gone. I do like the little ending where it apparently crashes into Orison. But let us know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Obviously, guys, the video has been helpful. Please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, we'll see you in the next Demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great night and enjoy. Oh, and just before we leave, I'm calling it now. Eva Cardi this weekend or early next week. You watch. I bet you it comes out. Have a great night. Enjoy, everybody.